Hey guys, this is Catalin, and we have a really interesting video we wanted to do for a while now. Basically, me and Jordan, we're gonna have a probably longer introduction somewhere for you to see. But I have my own agency with about 20 people, Increase Media, and Jordan works for Consulting.com. They're managing tens of millions of dollars in ad spend. We're managing big ad spends like that too. And something that we're doing a lot is we're having these calls in which we're discussing ideas and kind of like talking through stuff. So I was like, okay, what about taking one of those and just recording them on a couch somewhere with a camera? So I just thought we might do that. This is gonna be probably a rough video. Not sure how this is gonna go. We're just gonna go with it. I have some ideas on my notepad that I talked with Jordan that we wanted to discuss. It's just gonna be like a brainstorm session. So we're gonna talk about ads. We're gonna talk about marketing. We're gonna talk about Jordan's hat. Hopefully.
Talk about some psychology. We got a lot of things.
Right. So tune into the conversation. You can skip sessions and stuff like that, and go to where you wanna where you wanna listen to and see what we're talking about. But that's it. So let's do this. I have my fancy notepad with me right now, and I think it would be we were just talking about this, like so right now, what day is it? It's Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. So yesterday, Elon Musk had this podcast with Joe Rogan, right?
Right, broke
and
the internet.
Yeah, I mean, it had like 5 million views in maybe 24 hours.
Right.
So what did you think about that? What did you think about the whole thing?
It's pretty interesting. You have to wonder if Elon is intentionally marketing at this point, right? I looked at the whole thing, and I mean, it was pretty interesting to see the stock prices react because it was such a controversial interview. But I think Elon is probably one of the better marketers that are out there. If you look at the way that he's branded the Boring Company, for example, that's a very exciting project with it's a comical name. So I think that when he was on Joe Rogan, there's a lot of people around the internet saying he took the hit, but he didn't even inhale. I think it was a more calculated move than people are giving him credit for.
Right. No, I think it's smart, man. I was talking to this guy. His name is Evan Burfield, and he essentially has a venture fund where he teaches people how to get into regulated markets. Mm-hmm. And Elon, all his work, so you have Tesla, you have SpaceX, you have the Boring Company, which is kind of funny.
Right.
That you would do that.
All of them require...
And Neuralink and all these things that require like all this regulatory things to happen. So something I thought with that guy, I thought was an interesting idea, was in order for you to get approval from the government, which is what you need to build tunnels under LA.
LA, yeah.
Which, come on.
It's insane.
So you're not going to get that if you're not a person that can open doors.
Right.
So all his image of the Iron Man and all these things, it's purposefully, hopefully, Elon, if you're watching, confirm. You can confirm through Neuralink if you like. But you know what I mean? It's purposely that he can get into those doors like that.
Right. He's putting on the Tony
smart.
Stark persona and kind of bringing that character to life. And I think it's going to work for him. I don't know if the stock drop was directly because of that action, but let's be real, Tesla's stock has gone up and down with a lot more volatility than just a small drop. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. But it's definitely, what I appreciate about what he did is it was very risky. Right? It was very risky. He knew what he was doing. You can't say he didn't. I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he made a deliberate choice to do something that would cause a reaction. And I think
you mean smoking?
Yeah, smoking.
Okay.
Specifically on on a platform as wide as Joe Rogan offers.
Right.
He knew that would be controversial. I don't think that he's surprised by this outrage in any way, shape, or form. There's no way.
Yeah, it's cool. Check this out. What do you think of, so Elon is doing all these things, right? He's, and then we're going to jump into some marketing stuff. But you remember the question last night? So we've been to, just so everybody knows, we've been to Jordan Peterson last night in Connecticut.
Right.
And he was asked about this very thing, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, give the guy a break because he's doing 5 impossible things.
And on top of that, he said something that I thought was really smart. He said that the type of genius that Elon Musk has that he brings to the table is so incredible, right? He's working on all of those impossible things that it's impossible to identify which variables are absolutely necessary for his genius to function in the way it does. So everyone can't wait to knock him for smoking like that's, their job or something. But I think Jordan's point, and I think it's a very good point to make, is that that type of genius is so complex and there's so many variables that to just put that down like it's a wrong decision is to neglect who Elon is at large. And I think it's the wrong thing to do. That's why I think we'll see how it blows over, but I think this will work in his favor.
Right. So check this out. So I think this would be a good segue. What Elon is doing, so he's made a statement that he's not doing ads, right? I think that's cool because everybody that's like so deep into ads, they think of it like, okay, so we're gonna spend $100,000 on Facebook or whatever,
right?
And we're gonna have this happening. But it really doesn't not work like that. There's so much more to it. So what Elon is doing with all his companies, not saying that he couldn't use ads, but what he's doing is taking like the most basic fundamental thing, which is like word of mouth, and reverse engineering how to do that. And I think that would be a great thing. So when you have great marketing, what happens is you have marketing that takes word of mouth. What do you think? I mean, I think
you're 100% right. So Elon's not doing any ads, but that doesn't mean he's not doing any marketing, right?
He's doing marketing.
He's doing a ton of marketing.
Real
marketing.
Right.
And it's brand building. There's a lot of things that are going on that he's doing, but he's just chosen not to put them into the traditional ad format. And I think for a brand like Tesla and for a brand like The Boring Company, it would kind of be silly to do an ad anyway. What would the ad even promote? Just the company in general? I think that where they're at, it makes sense for their marketing to go the way it's going, which is word of mouth, going with the getting celebrities in Teslas, the eco-friendly model. There's so many things that Elon's marketing that to where he doesn't really need ads. I think a lot of times we automatically assume that marketing and ads are just hand in hand. If you're marketing, you're doing advertisements, but that's really not the case.
Yeah.
I think in the digital realm, the reason we like ads so much is because they're measurable.
Yeah, because you can push a button and like.
They're so effective, but they're so measurable, right? I know exactly. If you were to put up a billboard, you would have a general idea of how many people saw it, but there'd be no way to know. But with online ads, you can actually track the clicks, the conversions, the cost per front end versus the cost per back end, and make educated decisions about your marketing. And I think that's the advantage of ads. But I think, again, for someone like Elon, that's probably not where he would go. But I think that's...
Did you think like and then we're going to skip to some marketing stuff. Did you think like he purposefully realized the way to do marketing in a way that he decided not to do ads from the beginning?
Right.
I don't think he did.
I don't think so either.
But then he stumbled upon it and kind of makes sense. So
I think he kind of fell into it, saw it worked, and also I think he's a natural. Right. I think he's a natural for selling his brand. I mean, the fact that the dude can, launch rockets into space, dig tunnels under LA, like he's obviously capable of making things happen and moving. So I think that he just has the capability to recognize those opportunities even when he just falls into them. That being said, I do think everything he did on Joe Rogan was calculated. I think he knew that was going to go viral. He knew there would be an uproar. I think it was very intentional.
Cool. Okay. What are we going to talk about? Like, tell me, what do you think is like some exciting stuff that we can talk about like in the Facebook realm and like Instagram and all these things?
So I think
what have you seen recently?
Yeah, well, I think keeping in theme with where this started with Elon Musk, what I would like to talk about is ads that really grab people's attention. What differentiates a good ad from a bad ad, how to make a good ad, and what components you examine when you're going into it.
Cool.
So it's actually
and is it healthy for you?
It's not healthy, but
healthier.
Way healthier.
Okay.
Because there's no burning, there's no paper,
Juul.
no tobacco.
The actual name is Juul. Okay.
Yeah, they're worth more than Lyft.
Really? Mm-hmm. These are more than Lyft.
Yes.
No freaking way.
Yes.
So how much is worth Lyft?
I don't know the exact valuations, but the last time I saw it, they're worth more than Lyft.
20 billion.
Yeah,
wow.
The company is ridiculously
valuable.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
Wow.
So
we were talking about. Okay. So let's take this. Let's decompose like what what you were saying? You were saying
I was just I would
like what makes a great ad?
Yeah,
Right?
what separates an ad from a good ad from a great ad? An ad that really just runs. You can let it run for months. It can go high volume. You can raise budgets. What's the difference? Why does that happen?
Right. So check it out. Here's this idea, and let's start with this. Tell me what you think. So I've been working with that training that I told you about, and one of the things that kind of boiled down to, which was really interesting, was okay. So you have this pyramid, and I told you this idea. I think I don't know.
We talked a lot of ideas.
I don't know. So check it out. So
pinpoint.
you have, if you look at marketing as a whole, I think this is a good framework to think about it. So you have a pyramid, and like on the base you have psychology, right?
Yeah.
So you start with psychology, then
Yeah.
upper level, so you have 3 levels, you have strategy, and then like at the top you have tactics. Now the thing with it is,
Real quick, what would you?
yeah.
What's the difference between strategy and tactics? Strategy is
So-
the overall like how you move, and then tactics are like the on the ground.
right? So I think so. There's psychology, strategy, tactics, and then how it works. At least from my kind of like crystallization of the idea till now is from as you go like from the base to the top, the speed of change increases. So at the psychology level, people don't really change. At the strategy level, change happens faster, and at the tactics level, changes happen a lot faster.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I would say the difference is psychology is like, okay, how people behave and stuff. Like,
Right.
okay, it's reciprocity, it's human biases, it's how a relationship really works between 2 humans.
Yeah, Eugene Schwartz talks about these are one of
The breakthrough advertising guy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He talks about how this is one of the few things that are actually immutable in the marketplace, right?
What?
The psychology of people,
Got it.
the way people, our natural wants, our natural desires. He says that these are one of the only luxuries that are immutable. They never change for a marketer. That's
Right.
one of the only things.
Right. But then what happens is at the strategy level, so that's psychology, that doesn't change a lot. I'm not sure. I'm not a biologist, so I'm sure it changes, man, but I'm not sure how. I'm for sure didn't do that much to change it, especially at the, like a really deep level, right?
Yeah, and I think
instincts and all that stuff.
I think that's a big point too, right? Even if it can change, I don't think necessarily that marketing can change it, right?
Right.
It can interact with it, but I don't think for the most part it has the power to change.
Yeah, and you would probably like if you want to change people's inherently deep human need, you'd probably need a therapist, not marketing. So it's probably different. But okay, so you have that, and then you have next level is strategy, which I think the bigger thing here is like you have your actual so you have your platform, right? And what happens is so the psychology of people now gets funneled into an environment, which is Facebook, which is offline,
Right.
whatever. So let's talk about that. What do you think? So that's, I think, the first element of strategy in me, and that I know, and there's a lot, and I don't have them all like figured out.
Right.
But what do you think? I think
So-
that's like the first thing you need to understand. Like, okay, how does the psychology of people at the top, meaning at the base, funnel down into like a specific environment? You
Yeah.
can interrupt me anytime. So go for
Yeah,
it.
no, that's great. I think, obviously we know that psychology, like the psychological framework that a person is in, isn't necessarily static, right? We can have different psychological states of being depending on what environment we're in.
Got it.
Right? Like we're gonna have a different psychological state when we're, say, in an argument with someone we love versus if we're at a bar drinking with our friends, right?
Right.
Psychologically, we're just gonna be in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why it's so important to remember what you said about the network is what type of mind frame are people going to adopt when they log on to Facebook, right? What do they?
What is it? What is it? What do you think it is?
I think, it's the same. I think a lot of it is, to be honest with you, I think the biggest thing is to kill boredom. I think that's really what it is. I think people go on Facebook and social networks to kill boredom. I think the reason it works and the reason it does kill boredom is because we love connecting with people. We love just seeing what our friends do, and we love showing off.
Have you read Hooked by this guy Nir Eyal, or like Neil Eyal, something like that?
No.
Yeah. So he talks about this. His book is called Hooked, and he talks about like how apps really build the triggers to actually get you to do things.
Yeah.
So are you referring to that? Like the first underlying thing is like killing boredom?
Yeah, well, I think that's the motivation to go onto the platform, right? That's
Right.
the motivation. That's why they come there. Now, I think what you're talking about are some of the psychological things and triggers that the actual networks themselves will use in order to keep people on them.
Okay.
And I think that, obviously that's going to work as an advantage to you, but also, it should be something you remember. And I think we can get more to this when we talk about like creating ads specifically. But I think the reason why it's important to remember why people come on social networks is because then you understand what your ad has to do to make them happy.
Okay.
Right? Right off the bat, and this, I would say, this is step one, you need to make sure your ad's entertaining. Your ad has to grab people's attention. Otherwise, people are just going to keep scrolling.
Right. So what's the data behind that? Here's what I know. Okay, so for example, average watch time on video, it's 5 seconds, 6 seconds or something?
Yeah, but then also you got to figure in that 55% of adult Americans watch one full video on social media every single day.
55% of adults in America watch one video.
At least one video. Full every
so
single day.
So that could be 30 seconds or 30 minutes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
what does that mean?
Length is indeterminate. They consume an entire piece of video content on social media at least one time per day.
Okay.
Over 1 in 2 Americans do.
So what does that mean? It means that you have to compete for that one, or what?
Well, it means that there's a high.
There's a lot of people that are watching.
There's a lot of people that are watching stuff, right?
Mm.
And so, but in the same vein, if there's that many videos that are being consumed online, if there's that many hours of content being consumed, how much is actually out there?
Right.
And so you have to make your content stand out in a way that will get people not to watch the content that they plan to come to Facebook to watch or from a page they liked, but you have to grab their attention and pull it into a different direction, but still give them a reward, right? Otherwise, they're just going to keep scrolling.
Right. Okay. And how? Okay. Okay. So coming back to the platform thing, so let's just talk about each and every one of them briefly. So we have Facebook, and I think the biggest thing here, and so you have the boredom, overlying boredom. Which may or may not be applicable to all platforms because you have like LinkedIn and stuff. But I think all of them have boredom as a main trigger.
For sure.
Yeah, and you can feel that. I feel that in myself. It's freaking weird. Like I wake up in the morning.
It's a compulsion.
And I just go to my phone, and I find myself like 30 seconds later scrolling, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Right?
Same.
So it's an internal trigger that's very emotional and deep, and it's like. You essentially what you want to do is have your state be pumped by an outside thing, and now that feeling and the phone is connected. So anyway, so that's there.
Yeah.
And that's the overarching thing. But in Facebook, I think people are like it's more about their friends and stuff like that. Instagram is more about beauty.
Definitely.
So what are those things? And then LinkedIn is like more professional.
Yeah. So I think that's something that's like super crucial to remember, because I know for me and myself in the ads that I buy, we're going to have a lot better results with really long form copy on Facebook than we will on Instagram.
Wow, tell me
I've just seen it happen a million times. I'll take the exact same ad copy and I'll put it into Instagram. I'll have to shorten it because lots of times my copy runs longer than the 2,200 character limit that's on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So I'll chop it down, but it'll still say the exact same thing, right? Mm-hmm. But it simply won't work as well, despite the fact that Instagram usually will give us cheaper front end cost per conversions.
Right.
And one of the reasons I think this is because on Facebook.
So you're saying you take the winning ad from Facebook, you put it on Instagram, and it doesn't work as well with long copy. Because people are there for imagery, not text.
Yeah. Now, on Facebook, I think we're ready to read articles, right? A lot of articles are on Facebook, but on Instagram, not so much. It's not really how that goes. So I think that's one of the reasons. But something I've noticed is that when I put the copy into an Instagram canvas and add different media formats to break up the long form, then it will restore that kind of
and you do that inside Instagram.
Yeah, so they'll click the button, they'll go to the canvas instead of a landing page, and on the canvas we'll have the long form copy that I wrote, which there's no character limit on the canvas, and then, or at least not that I know of, and then I'll put videos or sliders or any type of media format that can break up the text, and then have call to action buttons where they
Oh,
can
you told
click.
me about that. I remember.
Yeah.
That's cool. And like, okay, here's something that let's talk about some ad formats that worked.
Sure.
That work. So here's okay. So let's see. What do I got? So here's one. I think I told you. Maybe we talked about this like 2 months ago. There's this thing that's working pretty well for us. And we have like maybe 50 accounts, so there's a lot of stuff, but this worked well across the board. Was you take like a product and you do a product demo of it, like really long, and by really long I mean at least 5 minutes, and people love that. And
The
it's
product,
like not
product
even,
unboxing.
like no button, just a link.
Yep.
And you can use those audiences and retarget them for whatever.
Yep.
And it works really well for retargeting audiences in general. So that's one thing that worked well for us. What else?
One of the things we do,
Yeah.
my standard for testing new creative will be the first one I'll do. It'll be all the same copy, but I'll have like 4 to 5 different images, but everything will be in a post.
How do you do that? You do like 5. Here's what I do, and I tested this a lot, and it seems to be working. I have 1 image per ad set, 1 creative per ad set.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just run 1 ad.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely, a minimum 4 for me.
Okay.
Minimum.
So you let that go for like a couple of days, and then you turn
And then
it
I
off.
chop, and typically
leave one of them.
I'll leave 2.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 to 3, sometimes as many as 5.
Huh.
Because I've noticed that if you have 5 working ad sets, or 5 working ads within an ad set, typically that ad set is going to experience a lot less volatility with day-to-day changes, auction positioning.
Because it changes from one to another.
Yeah, you'll have one ad that does poorly one day, but because the ad set is optimized to get the most conversions for the least amount of cost, then it's not going to run that ad because it knows it's not hitting today. But then other days, and I'm sure anyone that's bought a substantial amount of media can look at these fluctuations in their performance, right? Some days they're creative.
I mean, you do it because you're a freak, but I don't think people do it.
Yeah, I do it because I enjoy it.
I know I didn't look at it that much. I mean, like, do you remember telling me like, oh, so between 1st and the 5th, we have fluctuations in cost per acquisitions because people get their salaries or something.
Yeah, without question.
I was like, I never have thought about that in my freaking life.
Yeah, without question. We see
So rephrase that so that people get it.
Yeah, so we see historical data, typically month over month over month, even year over year, we'll see peaks in purchasing after the 1st and the 15th in about a 3-day window.
The 1st and the 15th.
Yeah, which is typically when most people get paid. And when you think about it, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's crazy. Cool. Let's do this. Let's see what we got so that we can add some stuff here. You have something in your mind? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just on that, on the formatting thing. One thing I think that advertisers forget about, and this is what I was saying earlier too, is we're focused too much on the conversion. All we think about is driving the click, getting the conversion, moving on to the next. And the reality is, I think oftentimes that ad can come across like a salesman who's too pushy.
Okay.
You know, you almost come across desperate. And so it's counterintuitive, but a lot of the best ads that I'll have will literally just be an image and long form copy, and at the very bottom are 2
You
links.
like long form copy.
I love long
I
form
got
copy.
that.
Yeah,
But
it's no secret.
Does that work really well just with like digital courses that are high priced and everything, or have you like done that? Because it feels to me like if you have a cheap price, like low end product, you're not gonna do long ass copy. You might try it, but it doesn't feel intuitive.
Sure. Yeah, I wouldn't if it's typically, you know, if it's like a T-shirt. Yeah, there's now maybe
it's a T-shirt with a story.
Exactly,
and then you can,
right. And so this is what always happens when these conversations come up. It's like you think long form doesn't fit that product, but then you realize it actually does if you have something to say.
Right.
And if you don't have something to say, you know,
maybe it's a commodity.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Cool.
And so I think when you kind of, and it doesn't even, maybe long form isn't even the focus here, but what I'm saying is focus on providing value. Give value first and give people value before you ask for something. And that's what I really strive to do is like, if I'm going to break your attention and I'm going to take your attention from your feed, I'm going to make sure that you got something out of it.
Let's do this. If you would be to describe what great marketing is in like a few sentences, like how would you, and I'll give you mine too.
Yeah, really.
Like you could be specific on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. But
sure.
Like take me to the whole thing. Like how do you see it?
Yeah, so I think really great marketing, I can actually summarize it pretty quickly.
Really great marketing is done by Jordan.
Not even.
That was a weird wink.
No, not even. Really great marketing is something that
By Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson doesn't have to market. That's how good he is.
He is marketing.
I know he is. Yeah,
like Ellen.
So this is what I was talking about.
There you go.
This is the content, right?
Okay.
Jordan is solely concerned about providing value to his listeners,
right?
And because of that, people market for him. Same thing with Elon Musk, right? He's solely interested.
Check it out. Like just, I cannot leave you finish a sentence.
Interrupt. It's fine.
Check it out. So I was going to the US and I was on the call with you and like, hey Jordan, I'm going to this Jordan Peterson guy. Like, do you know about him? And he's like, oh man, I know Jordan Peterson. Blah, 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 blah. Like that happened.
I moved my
flight. Like that's not a freaking ad.
Yeah, I moved my flight. You told me he was going. I was like, fine, I'll meet you there.
You essentially booked it last minute. Did you?
No, the flight was booked like 4 months ago. Yeah.
Oh, you're okay. I thought you were a last minute everything guy.
Not on flights. You got to save money.
Yes.
You got to. I am last minute on most things. That's a fact.
Yeah. Cool. So like, okay, getting back, what do you think is like the marketing?
Yeah. So I think
describe it.
This is the perfect segue. It's marketing that I don't want to sound lame, but it grabs your heart, right? I think great marketing, know it when you see it, but it just affects you. Oh my bad. It affects you. I think really great marketing goes in and just grabs a hold of you. I know it's happened with me. I'll be reading. I think what's his name? Peng Jung.
Carl Jung?
No, I love Carl Jung. We talk about him later.
Okay, if you would have screwed up Carl Jung's name, I'm boxing you.
No, the father of psychoanalytics would never be disrespected.
Sigmund Freud.
He's a marketer on Facebook. Peng Jung, I think. I can't pronounce his name, but what he does really well is I'll find myself reading through his stuff and I don't even realize it. All of a sudden, I'm halfway through this long post and I'm like, oh my God, this is an ad.
It's like he just slid in your DMs.
Right.
It's like,
right.
And it's like you already have a date with him and you don't even
exactly.
Did I say yes to this?
What happened? How did I get here? And I think
why don't I have my pants on?
And I think that's it though. That's it though.
I know it's a joke, but it's like the same thing. Like you. Oh man,
it happens so fast, and I think that's good marketing. Really great marketing. You don't even realize you're being marketed to, and by the time you do, you don't care.
Okay, check it out. So let me build on this real quick, and then we'll see if it goes anywhere. So I think of marketing like this. So the same thing you said. There's a few like foundational things that come with it. It's like number one, we're like so bombarded, like studio office for lease 715-259-05. Like I don't
right.
How do I care? I just want to go grab my smoothie from there. Or that's like a hipsterish fashion place, but like you know what I mean?
We're in Greenpoint.
So we're bombarded with like so many ads, and I think there's statistics on it like billions and trillions and millions of ads. So that's like on a graph of like competition and attention. You only have so much attention and so much competition for your attention. So you basically block the whole thing out. Right. Like Google, that's why I don't really do a lot of Google display.
Right.
Outside of retargeting and stuff, just because
Same.
like you are on that website for a different thing. So the underlying hypothesis, a theory, this is a theory, it's not a hypothesis because it's proven, is there's so much demand for your attention. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, without question.
Okay, cool. So after that, then really what is great marketing is because we tune all those things out because we don't want to be marketed to.
So here's the example. Let's look at the Super Bowl, right? The Super Bowl for a lot of people now is who has the best commercial. Now, those commercials are not trying to sell you something directly. They're purely trying to entertain you. And the ones you never remember are the truck splashing through the mud, the van with the, bragging about how safe it is and all the new safety awards, because we see that all the time. We see that shit constantly. Right. And we're callous to it, but we see a funny ad in the Super Bowl, and that's all anybody talks about for the next few days.
Right. So you purposely, man, that's great. So you purposely watch ads. That's cool.
I
mean, we watch it for research.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Different. Like we're marketers.
Yeah, I use Turbo Ad Finder. So
yeah. By the way, what do you think of this, man? I had this guy at an interview, and he said he uses ad blocker, and I thought it was the most unethical thing to do. Like just thinking about ethics.
Yeah.
Just to bring that point, we're gonna get back because that's.
So yeah, real quick.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I have ad blocker on my computer. I use it sometimes, but here's the thing: if there's a site that I like and I want to go to, I will always whitelist it. Always.
Okay, I think that's unethical, but we'll go.
Really? You think that's unethical?
I do. But we're gonna have this conversation later because that's like an hour.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because it's like you're selling your don't eat your own dog food to the point. Like I wanna feel the disturbance of me being interrupted with ads, so I understand how to navigate that.
So there are no ad block. Ad blocker doesn't exist on mobile. So I will always see people's ads on my phone, and on top of that, everyone else has ad block. So I see it as it's
Okay.
definitely a reversible maxim in my mind.
Check this out. So we got that. We have you get hit up with so many ads.
Yeah.
So you kind of shut that all off, and by default, you don't want to be sold to or marketed to.
Most definitely.
Nobody likes to do that. So the only thing that really works, is, of course, there's some other things that work, but the foundational things that work at a psychological level is like you wanting to do something, you asking for it, and it not feeling like marketing, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, one of the best, so there's word of mouth, there's great content, there's branded content in there, there's influencer marketing. That's why all those things work, because they have this like thing where you're not marketed to, you're not gonna have an ad blocker at a brand mention in a vlog.
Sure. Most definitely.
So my definition of marketing is basically, so you get hit up with so many ads, the best way to do it is for your stuff to not seem like marketing or sales, and to seem, you either filter people so well or you personalize things so well so that they seem like it's a recommendation from a friend type of thing, and they don't seem like marketing. Then really my foundational thing is, so you have psychology, strategy, tactics, and the best thing you could do is just, and people don't do this, man, it's crazy, is just have the effort and the mind to think independently enough to have a first-hand feedback loop.
Yes.
Like, because testing your ideas is so easy. You $20, you put it out there, right?
Yeah, you can do it whenever.
So that's my definition of what it is.
So you're talking more, it's a system. It's a full system.
I think of it like it's a full scientific method. Like,
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's interesting to see how this plays out on Facebook. I think a really great example of what you're talking about, specifically with the feedback loop and the not wanting to market, is social reach on Facebook, right? So one of the best ways that you can avoid coming across as being like exceptionally salesy is
not being salesy.
Yeah, is not being salesy, right?
Okay.
And if you do that well enough, people will like your content, not even thinking it's an ad. Now, what happens there is, let's say four of your friends like my post. Then my post shows up in your feed. Even though it's an ad, it's going to say your friends' names on top of it. It says like, Catalin likes, and then it's going to say my post.
Right.
So it will appear like I'm not marketing to you, even though it says sponsored there. But the only way that can happen, right? The only way you can get that social reach like that is if you give people value to where they like it without ever having to buy anything. And that's super crucial. And I think that's how you build the feedback loop.
Okay, so just to put on that, and then we're going to get into some tactical stuff. I don't know what's going to happen next time, in the next 5 minutes. So we started from like, we don't like to be marketed to, all that other stuff. You do ads that grab people's attention. And you get people to consume your content, whatever, and them talking about what you're doing. Now, at the psychology level, I think one of the most important things you can understand is human biases. And one thing, so what that means is essentially take the human-to-human relationships that you have with other people, reverse engineer that, and act like that in your marketing. For example, I just recommend you do Jordan Peterson. Here's why I did that. Evolutionary speaking. I know Jordan Peterson. I know it helped me a lot. It's something free, it's something awesome. I love the guy. If I recommend that to you, the reason behind that, at least that I'm aware of, I don't know, is if I recommend that to you, my social status will increase.
Sure.
Therefore, you'll appreciate me more.
Yeah, for making a good
it's
recommendation.
Like, it has to be something that by me telling you, I gain either social status or something out of it.
So it's an ecosystem,
Where
right?
I build reciprocity. So it's something along those lines. So you need to give people content and products and stuff that actually. That's why like people do pictures in their Versace belt or whatever, because like if I wear a Versace belt, my friends are gonna know. So I'm not thinking about promoting Versace. What I'm thinking is, how can I raise my social status in front of my friends? And if you do that, then you go that level, like people will just.
So I see that on my ads all the time. One of the things that I do, speaking of exactly what you just said, which I really liked a lot, is when I go to write an ad, I'll sit down, and before I start, I'll just start thinking about, all right, what's my customer doing right now? Like, what are they doing right now?
Oh.
You know, where are they right now? What are they thinking about? What's their love life like? What's their relationships like? How are they going to vote politically?
Do you have this like in a temp? You don't.
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I'll write this stuff down. Typically, it's just like I'm writing. So every angle, specifically for consulting.com, I'm talking about, and Sam Ovens, for that, we have one product. And the trouble of running one funnel is you have to make that funnel work for everybody. So there's a lot of different, and so yeah, I do customer personas, not in like I make an avatar because I don't have to send it to anyone, but I write down who this ad is for. And I write down what they're doing, what they're thinking about, what they care about, all of that stuff.
Right.
And so when I want to talk to them, that's exactly what I want to do. And the way I'll know it works is when people tag in my post.
Ooh.
They'll go to the post.
So do you tell them to tag people, or
No,
they just do
never. You can't tell someone to do that. You have to let it just emerge. Shout out to Sam Ovens, Emergence. But he loves emergence.
Like the word?
The phenomenon, allowing people to just do
sounds
things.
very artsy.
It does, yeah. It's bougie. But
bougie.
What
is that?
Yeah,
bougie.
so bougie is it's an American slang term for it came from like bourgeoisie, which is like the you know what the bourgeoisie is.
I have no idea.
It comes from the French.
I'm European, man. I have no idea.
It comes from the French Revolution. Robespierre.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate the compliment.
So
he always teaches me slang.
That is
great.
true. That is true. So
It's
the bourgeoisie was like the upper class, and so bougie here is like it's like you're fancy.
Cool.
So
emergence.
So emergence, yeah. So one of the things that I'll see is when I do an ad write is you'll see it in the comments. And you'll watch people tag their friends, and exactly what you just said, which is why I like that so much. They'll be like, "Hey, dude, this is exactly what you were talking about last night. Check this out." And at that point, it's exactly right, because the friend is like, "Hey, I'm a homie. Let me send you something your way that I saw online." But that ad wasn't even served to the friend, right? It was served to the other person.
Have you seen this a BuzzFeed TED Talk about like how stuff goes viral?
No.
It's really good. It's like what you're saying, like, okay, of course, entertainment, education, inspiration, all that. But like BuzzFeed breaks it down to the dot. It's crazy. So they have this, I'm not going to spell it out because I'm going to butcher the whole thing, but they basically have this TED Talk in which they kind of like talk about like, okay, here's what makes people do things. Here's how they make them share. Is like types of content, types of things, inspiration, education, types of entertainment that you can do. It's really cool.
Yeah,
like 15 minutes.
It's weird to hear you say that because I'm very intrigued, but I'm also shocked that BuzzFeed actually made good content. So that's weird.
BuzzFeed is playing a different game. Yeah. Oh yeah. Any case.
I can't stand BuzzFeed.
Check it out. Have you ever done? Here's something that I've done a lot with some clients, and it's just such a fabulous thing. And we cannot do it with everybody just because it takes so much time. Is every single one of, and I was actually talking to who is it? I just been at Hypergrowth last week in Boston. No, it was this week.
Yeah,
it's this week. Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't slept. And these guys at Drift, which is a SaaS company, every single one of their product managers, I think, has to talk to at least one customer a week, so that she's safe in case her client suits her, because like, oh, you didn't give me any. Because like we're doing creative work, there's no real deliverables.
Interesting.
And that was what she did. And then they created a whole marketing campaign talking about that, which I never thought before.
Right.
So what do you think about that whole thing? Like
we're in the same boat here with the practices.
And let's lead into like, how do you do that with ads? Because I think that's pretty cool.
Definitely. I think it's a natural segue too. So we're very customer obsessed. That's actually something that Sam talks a lot about, is being customer obsessed. And I think it's true. We survey our customers afterwards. We ask them how they found out about us. We ask
Like,
them,
do you get real stuff from like do you do Net Promoter Score and all these things or no?
No, we'll take surveys and then we'll break down the data based off what the customers said and how they responded to each. And lots of times we'll incentivize it too, give them an incentive to fill out the survey and take time to be thoughtful with their answers. And then we take the answers really seriously. We look at it and then we make decisions not only just on ads but actually on product as well, like Basecamp did.
Right.
We take it really seriously, and I think that's the good segue into the customer journey, right? Understanding who your customer is so important to understand their journey. And once you understand their journey, you can effectively market to them. And I think for bringing a customer from not knowing you to purchase, I can't think of a more effective model than mapping out the customer journey through paid advertisements on social media.
Okay, so let's map that out. So here's something I know, and I'm not sure if this is a really good a framework for it, but there was this thing, I think I read it on Copy Blogger maybe like 3 years ago. And there's the 5 phases of prospecting. It's basically like phases of the customer journey. So you have completely unaware.
Yep.
First thing, doesn't know about a product, doesn't know about a solution, is just wandering around doing its or her or his thing. And that's unaware. Then there's problem aware. He or she knows about the problem but doesn't know any solution yet, any product or service that can do that. Then you have solution aware, so knows the problem, knows the solution to it. Then you have product aware, and then you have most aware, and then buying decision or something.
Yeah.
So let's nail it down. What do we do at each and every level with like
Love
what
it.
ads?
Love it. This is a great question.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's use that exact format that you just laid down. So the people that are completely unaware, right? At one point you can say like, we should make them aware of.
So that's your top funnel.
Yeah, that's top funnel, right? Cold traffic. They've never been to your website. They don't like your page. There's no engagement. They're completely cold. Okay. When they're completely cold, one of the things that I want to focus on is not serving them an ad that highlights the problem too strongly, because then I'll come across negative, right? I want to have some type of preliminary engagement, and that's where I think video view campaigns and PPE campaigns are extremely valuable, right? Because you can promote things, whether it's just a video with maybe even no call to action, right? But you can remarket people based on how much of your video they watched. And if you do it right, I can get video views in the United States for like 2 cents, 3 cents, if you market it right. And so that can be a really great way.
So what type of content is that you get video views for?
The content, that type of content will be, whether it for example with Sam, he'll like talk about educational, how I make my morning routine better. Let's say you were let's say you're.
And then how do you make sure you get the right people? Do you do this? So you do general content, but you do specific audiences that are broad.
Yes.
So you get people that are likely to be into consulting.
Yes. So it's a little bit unfair for us because we have so many lookalikes now built out from such substantial audiences. But if I had none of that, what I would do was I would break it out by interests. I would set up a few small ad sets targeting specific interests. Maybe some age demos in there, depending on how big the audiences were, if I wanted to segment out further and my content was niched out like that. And then I would just start running the same content to different interests on Facebook until I found one that clicked at a really low level. And then I would serve that same audience 2 more pieces of content, right? And line it up in a 1, 2, 3 succession.
How do you do the same audience? You get like the video views from that one and you do the other 2?
No. So like let's say
just engagement with page or something.
Right. So let's say so we're talking, this is still first touch. So I'm going to break out my ad sets based off one single interest per ad set. Let's say one is interested in digital marketing. That's the only interest I'm going to put. The next interest is e-commerce. The next interest will be entrepreneurial.
And then you have groups of things with that interest. Or you're testing separate interests.
I'll test that separate interest because I want to find which population is going to be the best, right? Okay. So then let's say I find that winner, then I'll do another ad set with that as well, but maybe I'll throw in a couple other interests that are just like it, right? And then I'll do some other content. But what's really cool about what you can do with video views, if you want to really take your customer journey to a next level, is create content in succession, right? One video is going to be like, so you have your primary cold video, but then people that watch half that, have them watch another video. Then after if they watch half that video, now you've introduced the problem, right? So they already know you, so you're not coming with that negativity off the bat. But now you have some established, they're not completely cold because they watched your video. Now you can bring them the problem, and you can bring it to them in a way where they know that you're going to bring value first, so they don't react like it's negative, even though it essentially is.
Okay, so so we are unaware, and you have groups of content you're putting out so you have these pieces of content, say 10 pieces of content that
Sure.
you're promoting to these audiences,
Yeah.
interest, and you test those out, see how they work. That builds up a lot of people that have watched those videos, some percentage, some different percentages.
And engaged with the ad, yeah.
And then you get those people to the next round of content, which is problem aware content,
Yes.
which could be videos, could be articles, could be
Yes.
text, could be whatever. And then you get those and on to the next.
And then at that point, then I want to start doing optimized for conversions.
Okay.
At that point,
Where?
once after they're aware of the problem, then I want to get them into a free opportunity for them to see my solution. But it's a conversion action that is now bringing them to be made aware of their solution. That is so crucial.
Okay.
For us, that's the webinar. But
Okay.
it could be anything, right? It could be a free guide. It could be a free, whatever. Make a PDF. But that PDF could illustrate the problem, and then at the end of it could, explain your solution. And then
Yeah.
at that point, you've successfully taken someone from completely cold to now being aware of problem, product, and solution.
And here's my feeling on this. So I love that. And one thing I would add is when you get to like most aware, product aware, all those things, the best thing I found that works is get your product benefits, get your product features, get your product story, put those in, get your testimonials. So basically take what are the objections that people have, act it like it's a sales process, which it is.
It is, yeah. It definitely is.
Take the objections that people have to a sale and build ad to serve each one of those objections. So you could have, okay, people don't trust this works for other people. You have testimonials. People don't know if it's gonna fit, if it's a fashion item.
Yeah.
So you say return and delivery free or whatever. So
Yeah.
but you make that happen. People do not really understand how the product actually works. You do a product demo.
Yes.
People don't really understand what's actually inside. You do a product introduction. So like you take, and this is like you need to put in the work here to understand your customer and know these things.
That's what I was just gonna say. There's no substitute for work here at this point. There's just no substitute for it. You need to look at your page posts and start to understand. Look at the negative feedback juxtaposed against the positive feedback.
Right.
Sounds like something simple, but you can learn so much. You can start to recognize.
Are you actually following that?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
It's interesting.
I
I don't
actually
really watch it.
I get it down to an actual number.
You're crazy.
You just divide it. I want a percentage.
It's smart.
I want a percentage.
Okay.
The reason is because it'll dictate how well your content's being received by the market in a very real way.
Okay.
Because it's just engagement. It's never, it's right off the bat. It's that first touch. So then you can kind of gear your content and do like what you're talking about. Then you're absolutely right. From product research, you can understand your objections and address them before they're actually made. And I think that can be a very powerful tool when done right. But I think the most fun thing happens after you get that first conversion. Because at that point, you now have a warm audience, right?
Okay.
They're no longer cold. The journey is officially...
And retargeting, it's an easy task. Like, I think it is easy. Come on.
It is.
I mean,
I'm not saying it's not.
Like, you're just... what I think is you're not a real marketer if the only thing... So I think a real marketer, what that person can do is take people from unaware
Yes.
to buying.
Yes.
That's what a real marketer
Yes.
does.
Mastering cold traffic is the hands down
Yes.
the game. That's hands down the game.
Doing retargeting, which is what everybody does. And I know I'm... So your brain wants to believe you're good, right? So you do some ads and you get results and you want to stay there. And when you see those high CPAs on the cold traffic, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Right.
The thing is, you're not a real marketer. If the site has 500,000 visitors a month and you're just piggybacking off of that with some good ads, good for you.
Sure.
That's great. But I think there's so much more to that if people stay in their safe zones. I don't know what I wanted to say.
Well, so on,
I just wanted to bring that up.
I like that because I think that I think you're right, but you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. When you
You're for okay. So
when you say
retargeting is the lowest hanging fruit. Get that now dial down. Make it work like a machine.
Yeah,
and then add people into the machine with cold traffic.
Yes, but I think you can take it a step further, right?
Okay.
And I think this is something that marketers
You
forget.
take a step further with the baby, like.
Does
that work? Like,
throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
I know what that means.
Okay.
But like, does that joke work? Like, if you say, does it make sense?
No,
it doesn't, right?
It doesn't.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
Okay, so let me explain it like this. Remarketing, yeah, it's the easiest. I get it because they know you, whatever. But imagine, look at this whole process under the metaphor of like, meeting a new romantic partner, right? So
why are we doing sexual examples?
Because sex sells, Catalin. Give the people what they want. God, dude.
Okay.
I thought you were a marketer.
This video is gonna get so much.
I thought you were a marketer. So think about it like this: like you go and you see a girl or a guy at the bar, and you're attracted to them, but they're around other people. You don't know each other. You walk up, you approach, you say some funny line or whatever, and it works, and you get the number and whatever. So right off the bat, you've taken someone from cold traffic
to a lead,
and now they're a lead. And
and now they're in your CRM.
It's accrued, in your CRM, which is your phone. Now, if you were to walk up to that same person 2 days later in the same situation, even you're totally forgetting the context that you've established with this person.
Right.
So remarketing is the lowest hanging fruit because you've already done the groundwork. But I think when you just stop there, you're totally missing what the remarketing can do for the customer journey. And that's contextualize the message with the customer based on the level of acknowledgement they have towards you.
How do you freaking do that, man? I feel it's so complicated.
Great question. So
like at the.
Okay, so I have.
So I know, here's the thing. So you're running big budgets, but I think
I can put this into like an ad set level though. I can tell you how anyone would do it.
I feel like when you're running maybe 10, 20, 30,000 a month, you need to keep things very simple. Like you cannot do very specific.
Sure.
Because it's too much. You're forcing the algorithm to reach these 415 people.
No, so yeah, don't use small audience. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't do just one ad per ad set, because I want there to be an option for people and for the algorithm to bring people through the funnel. I want them to have different variations, right, for different people. But it doesn't matter. If you're going to do any retargeting at all, you have to remember and acknowledge that you've already got this person on board. Therefore, you have to contextualize your message appropriately. Okay. You can't go approach them like they're cold. And if you do, you're not. It'll still work because, like you said, retargeting is so powerful and it builds momentum so quickly. It'll still work, but you're leaving so much money on the table. So much money.
How do you do that?
Okay, let's look at it.
So you do it at the audience.
Give me an example.
Audience level, right?
I do it. Yeah.
Audience level. I get that. I get the
audience
idea.
level and then an ad set, right? So like, it can be super small. Like let's say, so I have one. If somebody landed on my webinar page but didn't sign up, then I'm going to serve them an ad, right? And that ad will be pretty close to my cold ads. However, if they signed up but didn't attend, I'm going to serve different ads. Mm-hmm. And so I think it would be the same for anyone else, right? Like think about testimonial ads. Great example. Let's say that you're an e-com brand and you have noticed that certain swaths of your product line are going to be engineered towards different customers. Now, maybe they all fit into one general genre, but there's going to be different ones. So let's say that there's like a line that you've noticed that typically mothers are going to buy these types of products. The people that are going to buy this are going to be moms with young kids.
Cool.
Then you wouldn't want to show them a testimonial of a lumberjack who's like, yeah, I use this product every day. It would be insane. You would want to show them a review of someone who is like them, so they identify with it.
I got it.
And that can be done with whatever, right? You don't have to have a huge budget. You don't have to have huge audiences. You can do it with whatever it is.
Yeah, so you're just saying be relevant. No, I get that. Cool.
And you don't even have to do it with targeting, right? You don't even have to tell the ad set to do that. You just make that ad and know that's going to work for this segment of my...
Cool.
It's just that contextualization. And I think that creates a real customer journey.
Yeah. And I think... So it's actually pretty freaking fantastic that you can actually do that, because it's basically scaled one-to-one conversations.
Yes.
If you actually take the time to actually do it. One thing here, and then I want to jump into some other stuff. I want to wrap it up in, let's just say, 10 minutes or something.
Okay.
Something that I haven't done in a long time, I don't know, tell me your thoughts, is I haven't built, so I was doing all these things to get people to buy, but I was practically doing nothing with people that bought. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's the phase where you take buyers into evangelists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Here's what we tried, and this kind of struck with me. So we had, so one thing that really worked for us is we have a lot of clients that have products and content, physical products. In this example, it was supplements. And what we did is we went into Google Analytics, found out what are the articles that are sending the most sales, which are, we talked about this.
I love this.
Which is native content, right? So there was products that were educating people and mentioning there were articles that were mentioning the product, that were educating people and mentioning the product. Cool. So what we did is we promoted those articles to those audiences, and they worked. But something else we tried, and I didn't give it that much thought to it, but we just tried it, was, and actually an intern tried this out, it was cool, was we took those articles and we promoted them to buyers as well. And those people, first, they commented in the ads like, this is the best product ever, blah, 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 or they bought again. And I think it's so easy to kind of like jump that.
We do this and there's no chance of buying again, right? Once you buy Accelerator, you're never going to buy it again. But I'll still, let's say I have a brand new post.
That's rare though. Like having a product you only buy once.
It is rare,
really
but
rare.
I'm saying even in that really rare scenario, I still do what you're talking about. Let's say I make a brand new ad. And shout out to Nick Fisher. He's one of the people that we worked on this strategy together, and now it's pretty cool. We'll take and make an engagement optimization with a brand new creative, and we'll send that just to our most satisfied customers.
Okay.
And so even when you get the haters and you get all the negative comments, what I've noticed is that our satisfied customers will come in there and actually get in debates with people on the post. They're actually going to bat for us. Now that does a few things. One,
that's like the
phenomenal social proof. Yeah. Phenomenal social proof.
And it's kind of like you have an army, like, here you go, guys.
That's exactly, yeah. But two, all the comments. It tells Facebook this post is popping. This post is really relevant to people.
Right.
They're getting the notification. They're coming back. They're commenting. They're leaving. They're coming back. That's ideal for Facebook because it's an anchor. It's every time they go live, they come back. And so those types of strategies that seem like nothing or a waste of money or can end up being some of the best dollars you spend.
Got it. Cool. So, what else? We talked about a lot, man. Let's see. Okay, let's do, let's talk about, you love manual bidding, so we're going to talk about that.
I do love
I don't use it a lot. And I don't use it a lot, especially in like, so let's do that. Let's talk about manual bidding, scaling.
Yeah, they're the same thing for me. So.
Yeah, and I want to talk about something. Matching. This is deep. I'm not gonna talk about that. I love this. Cool. So let's talk about. So one thing to mention before we talk about manual bidding and like scaling all these things, I think, for the people that really understand a little bit of economy, if not just Google it, and I'm not an engineer, but I like to explain it this way. These are tactics, right? So like manual bidding, optimization, everything. If you're running on small budgets, you can do auto, you can figure it out, just have it going. It's
couldn't
good
agree
enough.
more.
It's
Couldn't
good
agree
enough.
more.
And there's like the most amount of results you're gonna get are happening between like 0 tactics and like maybe 7 out of 10 tactics, right? Like scaling with manual bidding and the crazy stuff you're doing, that's like getting it from 85 to 92 or something crazy like that.
Yes.
So what I think I'm trying to say is, it's really important for people to understand that doing these things when you don't have any foundation is kind of foolish.
Yeah, so
When you don't have a lot of budget to, like, if you spread yourself too thin, that's kind of foolish anyways.
And I think right now, specifically in like on Facebook ads, like manual bidding is like sexy to people. It's like very appealing because it has the word manual
It's a tactic.
in it.
It's a trick. People love tricks, man. It's funny.
But to be honest with you, I think for the vast majority of media buyers, you're gonna just stay fine on auto bidding. Like just leave your stuff on auto. I would say the only time you need to switch to manual is when you're looking to scale. It's looking to go from, I have it here. If I raise the budget on auto, my cost per lead goes up. I need to find a different solution. And that's where manual bidding comes in. And I think to really understand manual bidding, I think a lot of people look at it as you're telling Facebook, this is how much I'm willing to pay for a conversion. Or let me phrase, this is how much I want my conversions to cost. And that's really not what you're saying. You're bidding in the sense of an auction, right? You're saying, I want the premier space.
And it will just charge you the most amount of money you need to pay in order to get that auction to
well,
win.
it will charge you whatever the ad does, right? You're still buying by CPM. That's the thing people forget. You're still buying by CPM. So if
cost per 1,000 impressions.
Right. So if your CTR is good...
It's just funny. I just explained CPM, but I didn't explain anything till now.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was laughing. And that's like the most basic one. Like I'm sure everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But so if your CTR is good, you're still buying by the impression, but you're bidding on the cost per conversion. And what that can do is get you, if you know how to bid right, you understand where that sweet spot is for you. That can get you the first position, which is where the ads are going to give you the most conversions, for sure.
Okay.
And it also... specifics?
Like how do you set it up? Like, okay.
Yeah.
So let's say I have 10 campaigns I'm running. I have $1,000 a day. And my cost per acquisition that I'm trying to hit for a purchase is $10. Let's say. How I'm going to set up I know there's more variables in that.
Sure. But let's just use that as a framework. So
let's say my average cost per acquisition is $10.
It's $10.
So the one I'm actually getting.
Yeah, that's your target. So let's say you put $10 in on the manual bid. You'll probably serve about 7 impressions a day. It will barely serve. It will barely serve. And if it does serve, typically you'll notice the cost per conversion.
What do you mean by 7 impressions a day?
Like it won't serve. The ad literally won't go. Okay, it won't serve.
Okay, got it.
And if that's happening, that's simply because your bid is too low. We've found that raising the bid quite a bit.
Like 10 times?
Yeah, but the huge disclaimer on this, if you do not know your funnel and you don't know your CTRs, you don't know all your KPIs, you can lose a ton of money doing this. So I don't recommend it unless you've really done your homework. But once you have, you can push people out of the market space by bidding way more than they can handle. And your cost per conversion will sometimes come down.
You're basically bullying the marketplace.
That is exactly what it is.
Because how much you can pay? $30. I can pay $300.
Correct.
Go away.
But because I know my CTR,
you end up paying $30.15, right? But everybody's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Now I've noticed also, and I don't know why this is, but the budgets with manual bid ad sets are far more elastic than auto. And what I mean by that is, if you were to double,
are far more elastic.
Yeah, you can stretch them.
So the
what
cost per acquisition doesn't change that much.
If you were to double an auto,
yeah, I know what you mean.
You know that the cost per conversion is going to go way up.
There you go.
However,
I know what you mean, yeah.
With manual, I've brought my budget up 4 times, 400% in one day, and the cost per lead has come down sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not every time, but if you do it right, that can happen. You have to understand what the pixel does, and you have to look at the momentum each day. It's all scaling at that point is all about time.
Let's clarify this thing. I don't know if you're on the same page with me, but let's clarify the pixel thing, because I hear so many. I had this guy that came, so he came into my team. So I love that. I think that makes sense. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No.
So I had this guy that came into my team, and he told me like, oh, there's this thing, man. The pixel learns at an ad.
Learning, yeah.
At the
ad set level.
At the count level. He thought that if you just the ad account level, right? So there was a lot of everybody talking like the pixel is learning, right? Like now you have those little things that each and every asset says it's learning.
Yeah, I don't.
Come on, man, it's ad set level.
I don't even pay attention.
But just to clarify, just for people to understand, I think that's the most important thing when you're setting up your campaigns, just realize that you may be really smart, and especially when you have people that actually know what they're doing, there's this danger of you actually trying way too many things with way too small of a budget and not giving your ads actually a chance to win because
That's
you
huge.
don't have enough budget to have 50 conversion events at least for their campaigns to optimize.
Yeah, I
whatever
would
that
say
is.
this is the biggest mistake.
So this is the
rookie media
only thing
buyers
I
buy.
take in consideration when I'm setting my budgets. Like, okay, so we have $1,000 and 50 ad sets. That's $20 a day. My average cost per acquisition is $20. That's gonna be 50 days for the ad to optimize, and that's not gonna happen,
And
right?
there-
So
yeah.
how can we do 5 ad sets with 3 times the budget so that we can have those ads optimized? Because only afterwards you can really make a clear judgment.
Yeah.
Anything else is just a bad feedback loop. It's
It's a false positive.
false positive.
It's a false positive.
That's a
it's
medical
like,
term, right?
It's it's a chemistry term. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people think like, oh, the pixel needs to learn and the ad sets and learning. If you set up your funnel and you have the pixel on there and you set up your events right and you go through it one time, congratulations, the pixel's learned. It now knows what a lead is, right? Now, what it does need to learn is how to make that happen on a repeatable process and a scalable process in an actual social ecosystem.
Right.
And the only way that the pixel can learn that is by doing exactly what you said, getting a high volume of conversions every single week so it can recognize patterns, times, when to accelerate the budget and when to not. And that can only happen from getting the appropriate amount of volume.
Got it. Cool. Okay. So manual bidding, check. Optimization, check. I think. Kind of.
Optimization, again, just wait 3 days. Wait 3 days. Let it run.
So I had this girl, she basically went on vacation for 10 days and she didn't touch the ads. 10 days later, the ads were working better than anything we should have ever seen just because she didn't touch it.
Right.
And I was like, maybe we should just not touch ads anymore because you're so freaking smart and you spend all this time just like, oh, maybe if I do this and maybe if I do that and maybe if I do this and like rechanging everything and like splitting them and duplicating and blah, 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 blah. It's like, just don't do anything.
Yeah, I think this
Because
is actually...
the algorithm, it's much smarter.
It's so much smarter than you. It's so much smarter than you. And
Yeah.
it's going to know...
Thank you.
It's,
Said that 2 times.
I mean, and me
So
too.
much smarter than you.
It's so much smarter than me. Like, every day I work with a pixel knowing...
Not smarter than you, man.
It's
You're a
way
genius.
smarter than me.
Jordan is a
That's
genius.
patronizing right there.
But that's such a Jordan Peterson word. Patronizing. The dominance hierarchy. The lobster.
The lobster.
Oh, there you go. There you go. The lobster.
Got you. So yeah, I think that's this is one of the most underrated things in media buying right now, and I think this might be a good spot to stop. But is discipline, being a disciplined buyer, understanding that
It's like you're trading stocks.
it is. That is
Right?
exactly what it's like. It's like you're day trading, but instead of speculating on the valuations of companies, you're speculating on the valuation of someone's attention.
Do you remember? Oh, you do remember. So that like the times when you were starting to run some big budgets and every single time you were winning, you were like on a high.
Yep.
Every single time you were losing, you were depressed.
Yep.
And it was like the ads had your mood at their fingerprints.
It was all the money I had at the time.
Did you have that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Did you? I mean, I had it for like 6 months maybe.
I was running
I
a.
still get it.
I still get it.
Did you do?
The amounts changed.
Yeah.
Now, like 5,000 doesn't feel
Right. I mean, I don't know, man, but when I was starting to
Yeah.
spend like, that's $1,000, right? And then you're like, I made 10,000. I mean, I asked our clients, right? And they're like, whoa, and then like you didn't. It's so beginner. It's so like.
And that's what I mean. The discipline, right? It's being able to weather the storms. It's being able to let the pixel do what it needs to do.
Weather the storms.
And yeah, you like all these American colloquialisms.
That sounds. What did you say?
I've been using this word for like the past few days. We've been hanging out. It's so funny.
That's like, do you know?
Colloquialism.
I've been at. Okay, this is going crazy. So check it out. I've been at Laugh Factory in LA.
Yeah.
And there was this guy doing stand-up, and he said that the best spelling people, you need to go, okay, we'll end in 3 minutes. Okay, we'll end in a couple of minutes. So he said that the best people at spelling are Indians. And like they're the best in the country. at it. Like in the final, there's like 12 Indians.
Yeah, the spelling
in
bee.
the
Yeah,
US.
they crush.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you could throw that word at me anytime. I won't be able to spell that.
Well, you're not
Yeah.
Indian, so
Any case, where were we? What were we discussing about? I don't even know.
that one will probably have to be edited out.
Oh, check it out. Let's end with this. I think this is really cool. So I think as in what we do, and we're okay. So I think of myself as I'm just trying to figure this thing out. I'm trying to take the best scientific approach I can to like, okay, how can I be objective about it, analyze. So scientific method, and people can Google that, like make observations, test them out, get results, adjust again, try again, new stuff. So that is really important. At the same time, I think what is really important is to just look outside of everything. I know for me, so I spent so much time just being focused on the stuff that was working and not looking anywhere else, because it was like this. If I'm a driver of a chariot, what is the thing?
Chariot.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to know that there's a car now. That makes sense.
Yeah,
like I'm
bliss.
denying the reality because I want to stick with the stuff that's working right now. So I've stuck in that so long that I didn't look at PR. I didn't look at what Elon Musk is doing. I didn't look at what Amazon is doing.
Yeah.
Why are all these founders talking about their business? Why is Jeff Bezos talking? Dude, like, he's doing it because it does this thing that people get attached to your mission, and like, that's real marketing. And what is real marketing? And then is that, well, your Facebook, and does that make sense? And my point is that I think especially paid media, I know I see this approach a lot, can only be seen as an amplifier of something good.
Yeah.
A foundation, whatever that's.
Yeah.
So you need to have a good product. You need to have a good business model.
This is the biggest thing.
You need to have everything.
You have to have a real business. You have to have a real offer. Those days of just,
Hashtag truth bomb.
I mean, it's just true, right? Those days of just ripping people off in the affiliate world are being put
So
out.
I'm not even talking about that, but like is this thing of like you look at pay media as a cause and effect. It's only it can only amplify what you're doing, right? And I've seen this over and over. It's so easy to do ads for people that got it figured out.
Yeah.
For like websites that know their content strategy, they know their products, they know what they're doing, they have existing customers. You just kick in some stuff
It's
and they're
almost
rocking
like
20%
the campaigns
increase.
write themselves. Yeah.
So I think for me, my biggest thing in the last 6 months, kind of in my learning curve, was this, like just realizing there's so much out there, that pay media is only an amplifier, which is counterintuitive because you identify with what you're doing and you want to be like, for example, the USA, I was just listening to Steve Blank, the lean method, this customer discovery method. In any case, he's really smart. And he said that he's been working with the US Army and those people are spending $12 billions of dollars. Is that correct? I don't know.
12 billion, yeah.
$12 billion on rockets or missiles every year. And the whole thing, like the USA doesn't need rockets anymore. But they have this whole infrastructure of 400 people that their sole job was buying rockets. And when he went to their leader and said, by the way, have you thought about that you don't need the rockets? He's like, oh, never thought about that. Just because people are so identify what you're doing. Any case.
Yeah, I'm with it. It's
and let's wrap it up because he needs
yeah,
to go
we'll wrap it up. But right there, just on the last thing, it's like always remember there's another human on the other end of the device. And don't lose sight of that. Always remember that you're working with people. I think it's easy to get lost in the numbers, but you always have to remember there's another human being on the other end of it. And reducing them to metrics can, you can get lost in the media buys. But I think you're right. It's remembering that there's a full order. And as long as you do that, I think, you follow those strategies and they'll work for you.
Cool. Okay. I don't even know how to do this. Check it out. If you like this thing, hopefully you enjoyed it.
Hopefully.
I kind of did.
I enjoyed the conversation.
So hopefully you enjoyed it. I don't know where you're seeing this, but give us, if you have any questions, let us know, and whatever, we'll answer them for you.
Let us know what you think in the comments, and
what you think of Jordan's hat.
Please let me know what you think
and
of
my
my
new
hat.
Allbirds. They're kind of cool.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Okay, man. Did we went over too much?